Okay, so I see a lot of, I'm in the test group, so I'm not trying to bash anybody. But, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of confusion about the test e2e node specifically. Talking about e2e node, which is the end-to-end test for the node specifically, and it runs everything locally or remotely if you choose to remotely. But the point is it runs everything without setting up a full cluster. It runs a sort of a binary that has everything embedded into it. It's sort of like Hypercube, but specifically for the testing. And so there's a lot of people, oh, I'm trying to run these tests, and how do I use focus and skip, et cetera, et cetera. And so, we've got the docs. The docs exist here at this sig-node e2e node tests, and it has information about running them locally, and it is almost this simple. I'm not sure we need etcd. I'm not sure this is true anymore, but I haven't verified it because it's been so long since I've not had etcd sort of available in my path. But I think etcd might be embedded as well right now, and I'm going to write that down as an action item to see if there's a embedded etcd. And then, I might even start up a VM to demonstrate this as well. But what we're going to do is, yeah, you got to have Ginkgo. It's just about make test e2e node, and that should run. And what you got to understand here is what is all the defaults, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and the focus, and how do you determine what the focus should be. And I've not done any of this remote stuff because I don't have Google Cloud credit to set up to run this. And so, as it says here, both remote and local execution focus regex to match. Okay, well, what regex isn't matching? It's matching the regexes of the Ginkgo test definitions, which are done in this language, and basically they're giant strings with all the test names. The parallelism, I don't think actually does anything locally, but it might. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think there's any. I don't know. I haven't seen any sort of evidence that it runs in parallel in any way that matters, but not super important. Let's move on. There's other things you can do. You can use test-star kubelet flags, which I need specifically for my particular machine because my machine has swap enabled because it's a machine I expect to work, and sort of my desktop and whatnot. I don't want to kill on random things. And then the topology manager notes. So there's some improvements I think we can make here about this. Not necessarily super important, but we've got that. Okay, so we go to the thing here, and I know I need this much. Oops. I know I need this part. Make, how do I, okay. I know I need that part because I know I need to give the kubelet flag the fail swap on thing so that it doesn't blow up for not having swap on. Actually, you know what, let's do that, and I'm gonna maybe cut out a segment of this as a specific example of what happens when you don't have swap on and it fails. So if I run this, it's like, okay, well, it's going to do a bunch of stuff. Okay, well, what's it doing? First of all, there's a good idea to, it's hard to know about it unless you already know about it, but they have in the make files a lot of help. And if you do this print help equals y, and it has to be specifically that because that's the match, it actually prints out almost all of the arguments. I think there's a pretty important one that's missing, which, again, I'm going to make a note for myself to add it. And I could be having a tunnel vision moment here, but I don't think this one's documented. And it's kind of important, especially since it's in the example. But there's definitely an important amount of stuff that's, remote only or local only. And I think we could probably clean this up so that it's used when runtime is set to remote, or for remote equals true only. Like, pick one. Pick a lane, guys. You use one determining. I like that, the defaults to false. That's good. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about focus and skip. This isn't true either. Excuse me. We have focus defaults. I think that might be true. It might default to everything. But skip, the default to skip is to skip the long-running tests or the slow tests, the serial tests, and the flaky tests. That is the default. So, okay, lots of stuff to do here. Update skip. Update docs. I mean, there might be a better way to get the doc to print out as well, but I think we can update it. Skip defaults. Doc for remote equals on or off consistently. And then, I mean, maybe even make a remote section, local section, and then missing test args. So that is cool. I'm not gonna get much deeper into it than that for right now. But if we do this and we wait for it a little bit, we'll see actually a lot of this stuff come out. In terms of it tells you what it's doing, right? So, okay, building ginkgo. Okay, I already have ginkgo. That's good. Then we're building everything else that we're going to use, and so we're going to build the kubelet. We're going to build e2e node tests. We're going to build. Well, we already have ginkgo again. I guess that's interesting. Maybe we can save some time and not link ginkgo twice or not check it twice. But I'm not super concerned about that. But it's good to visualize. And I'm running all this locally, so you can see, stuff's happening locally. When the containers actually, well, they're not going to run because it's going to blow up because I've got swap on. Okay, so we've got some important stuff here. Build output. Okay, that's normal. So you can see, what are we running? We're running skip is flaky, slow, serial. Okay, we got that. We're being very affirmative and setting a lot of things until it fails. False. Container runtime Docker, that's the default because it's local. Very good. This sets the verbosity of the logs, which might be helpful if you're debugging a specific test. We got my host name. Kubelet flag. That's interesting that container runtime is twice. Oh, I see. Well, this is one line, and this is the. Oh no, wait, no, that's all the same line. So what we can see here is the report dir for some of this the test output, which is good. Let me see. It doesn't have what I'm looking for yet, but hopefully we print out some stuff, and that's more useful. It's interesting that they shortened 2020 to just 20. I couldn't afford the extra 2 zeros, I guess. Kubelet flags. You can see kubelet flags is getting filled in with this network plugin CNI Ben plugin, so I guess it's going to be choosing some default kubelet flags. You can see that you know, we get kubelet flags twice, which is important to know in terms of, oh, I need to add kubelet flags. Okay, you can just add it again and again and again and again and again, and it'll do the right thing. Or that's how you do it appropriately, is you just add it multiple times. Okay, so yep, node fail. Yeah, we got 8 nodes. They're all going to fail. That's not important. And so timed out, and the reason it timed out is because we've got swap on, and I think got swap on, so the kubelet's not going to start up, so everything's going to fail because you can't talk to the kubelet because there's no kubelet. But how do I find that out? How do I understand that? Not important. Skeleton, not important. I'd really like to stop seeing this warning, but it's not important for us. Default host, okay. It's pretty much, you know, local host 8080, great. Since it's only running the one, you know, and really it's running on the Docker underneath. You know, master, it's okay to run on master. Again, skeleton, again, generator. Again. Okay, so I guess because it's running, well, this might be more intelligible if I had only run parallelism 1 and 1 node, but basically we're going to see the same message 8 times because it's trying to connect to the same thing 8 times. How did I find out the... We've got... Maybe I did go to the temp artifacts. Let me see. Let's see if it's still around. Probably gone. Oh no, we have it. Okay. Okay, so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like there's one missing. It looks like JUnit 01 is missing. Anyway, there's 8 because there's 8 nodes. This is going to be what we just saw, right? So that's not terribly helpful. As you can see, boom, 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 there's no extra information there. But what is helpful is this guy, which tells me this part. And that's really the only part that's interesting, because I can go from, it's running as a unit, systemd. I don't know much about systemd. I know enough to hurt myself. But I know to look at a unit, we do journal controls to look at the logs for it. And this 2020-06, that's the one that we just ran. And if we look at it, we can go down and we see, oh yeah, look, all the flags it got, excellent, excellent, excellent. And if we keep going down, that's a lot of flags. I like that they're in alphabetical order though. That's nice. If we go all the way down, we can see, let's go in one. You can see that we're going to get to the end, and we're going to get this nice stack trace. Failed to run kubelet. Running with swap on is not supported. Okay, well, I understand that. There's an outstanding issue that's been out for a couple of years, and maybe we can work together to solve it. But that leads me to eventually know that, okay, well, I've got to do swap on equals false. And if we run this again, hopefully it doesn't take a long time, but we're going to see that it runs the same Ginkgo command as we saw before, and that the Ginkgo command still has the skip, but it doesn't have the focus. So the focus defaulting to blank, that's correct. So it's going to run all of the tests that aren't skipped. And so that's basically just a regex of everything that doesn't match those things. Not that one. Again, the wrong one. And so we're just passing, when you do focus and when you do skip, we're just passing literally to these guys in the end. You're passing a regular expression so that Ginkgo will only run the specs that match the regular expression and don't match the skip. So they do interact. Everything that's skipped is permanently skipped. Everything that's focused is only run if it matches and it's not skipped. Okay, so now we've got to the point of, hey, I want to run the same thing that's running on some of these. Now that topic, that issue was specifically running the sig-node containerd node features suite, which is there. And so we've got this nice, that's the default description, which is basically that it's the test name, the test suite name. And so if we look it up, we'll find that it's running, oh wait. Interesting. Oh yeah, okay, I remember what that is. We can find that, okay, it's running a container, it's running the kubekins. We can talk about kubekins at some other point. Comes down. It's going to run on all of the images that are defined in this. And you can see it's doing a node deployment. It's configuring containerd to be used with all those flags. But the test args in the end, what we're getting nodes 8, focus of node feature, everything with a node feature defined, and then the flaky and the serial, and not the slow, which is interesting. So we're going to run everything that has a node feature and is not flaky or serial. So that's good to know. And if we go to back here and we actually look at one of these test runs, and so first thing, okay, let's click that. And you can see, okay, this is the same definition we were just looking at. And you can see that we've got test args nodes 8, node feature, and flaky serial skips. Okay, let's look at our existing thing. So you can see our existing thing is working now. It works. And it's printing out logs for everything. And it's probably a little too verbose for me to find out what I need to find. But, oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm trying to find the start of the test. Okay, so here's the start of the test. Same thing. We get this validating OS. So if you see that, you're real close to having everything working. You can see that it's got a bunch of stuff that it pulls because it's pulling into the local Docker environment. And if we look at this, okay, everything's running locally. We can see that there's stuff running. We do stats. We can see, oh yeah, look at all the. Let me try to fit this on the page, even though it's. We can see that's all the stuff that's running. You probably can't read that anymore, but it's not important. But we can see there's a bunch of stuff running, and it's running locally on my local Docker environment. And, using up my resources and running all over. It's probably going to run slow because I'm recording stuff, but the important part again here is to know, okay, we're validated, we've pulled our images, and we're starting the kubelet, and you can see here is the actual kubelet command. This might be useful to print. The issue here is this only prints, unfortunately, after it's started up, right? So we get the starting kubelet here part, and then it goes through and it figures out how it's starting it. And it starts it, but you can see it does a systemd run unit. But this, unfortunately, prints out after it's already tried to start running it, so it doesn't normally print it out. But you can see we've got somewhere in here the unit again, and so it's a different unit because it's a different run. And our artifacts output, boom, 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 everything's running. And waiting for things to start, and so we're waiting for the kubelet to start, and we're waiting for every other service that it's going to start, that it needs to run to start. And then it goes through each test, and it starts to run them. So you can see every time it does an S, that means it's skipping it. It looks like, I'm going to have to find out where this is, but this is nice to run in CI, but it's maybe too much information for essentially successfully running tests to be printing out this much stuff. But you can see step, 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 step. Those are the statements from Ginkgo. And so it tries to tell you what it's doing. And you can see there's actually interesting skips that happen after the fact. Basically, it matches the regex for running and not being skipped. But once it gets inside, it says, oh, look, I need to be on GCI or whatever. And then it skips it that way. And so skip, 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 run, 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 run. And let's go way to the bottom. This doesn't take too long. And I do have a test that seems to fail, and I haven't looked into why does it fail. Oh, runtime class stuff is a little finicky for me when I tend to run them locally. And yeah, more failures. Okay, we got we got a lot of stuff to look at. Let's see. Resource usage, the V1 Alpha 1 API. Non-existent runtime class. Okay, so this is remember, this is running more than this configuration, because I just said, you know, my focus was to run everything but skip flaky serial. So what is that? Well, that's more like the default set of tests here, which is node kubelet master. And so we click on that guy, and you can see, if we look at the job definition, well, this is the node conformance. Okay, so everything's split up into jobs that are specific to what's being run. I'm trying to think, what would be run everything? I'm not sure there is a run everything. I'm not sure there is anybody who runs the default set of stuff. There probably is, but nothing comes immediately to my mind. And that's not really important to what we're trying to demonstrate here. But you can see that it's running the tests. It's running a subset of them that are not slow, serial, or flaky. This, if I Control C, everything should blow up successfully. But you can see that it's running a lot of tests. Skipped a bunch, failed a couple, running. So let's, instead of running that, we're going to run these subsets. And so the subset I want to run is the one from, let me clean up this, is the one from here, which you see container just to sort of demonstrate this particular one. You can see, yes, we seem to be in the same understanding that, focus, skip. Okay, so I should be able to copy this and run it, because that's going to match what we see in an individual test instance. If we look at the prow, we see focus, node feature, skip, flaky serial. So focus, node feature, skip, flaky serial. Again, I don't think the nodes thing really affects us here too much, but I'll have to look into that some more. But if we run it, okay, well, what is it going to run? It's going to run the same set of tests here, and we see 76 of 650 passed. Let me scroll down. This looks like there might be, oh no, I guess there's only, okay, so there's only 76 tests in this group here, according to this log. And so if we scroll through this real quick, we should see similar information that we saw before. There's a bunch of other pre-setup that happens sort of automatically on the CI. So you can see, builds the targets, and then we get to this start test, and that is the runner of the individual nodes that have been defined. So here you can see we're running on temp node, e2e, blah, 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 cost 77. So this is a cost-based image. But you can see, okay, here we've gotten into the test runner. You can see that here's this validating OS part. Okay, pass. So that matches up to what we saw previously. You can see it pulls the Docker images in a same way. You can see it starts the kubelet with a systemd run command. Okay, cool. And then it starts all the other services, node feature plus, flaky serial. And you can see it runs through the test. It skips a bunch of stuff. And hopefully we go all the way to the bottom. And oh, there's another thing that I want you to see, that we look for start test. You see that, right? So there's also finish test, right? And so what we can see here is interesting, is that we run the same set of tests twice. We run them once on a COS image and once on Ubuntu 18.04. But the important is, in a single run, we run 34 of 321, and it takes about 3 minutes. I've probably been talking for about that long. Oh, no, not long enough. But still running stuff locally. But in the end, what we should run here is that we should see the same 34 tests running locally. And maybe some fail. Hard to know. And it's, probably taking a while because I'm recording. But let's go try and find the start. Oh, we looked at the start. We saw that. It's a waiting game. Stuff's running. I have seen certain images get caught up and not delete, and mess up future runs. So I might be in a bad state because I didn't fully clean up the Docker images, the running containers. Not that one. This one. Boink. Okay, but we were going to run the same 34 tests, 33 passed. Yeah, so what happened was it failed. It looks pretty close. Errors. I guess this is supposed to match. Errors. Expect number 4 got 7. Interesting. This is for the should generate node condition and events for corresponding errors. Looks like we skipped a node event or something. But this matches what we see on the server, is that we're running 34 tests, skipping 287. I don't successfully run them, but the build server runs them twice, even. Yeah, and then exits. And so that is, I think, everything I have to say about this for right now.